Welcome to the First to Last the Nerdom, where we dive deep into the realm of film, fandom, and everything in between. I'm Tom, and today we're sinking into our teeth into a true cult classic, the 1987 vampire thriller, The Lost Boys. Get ready to relive 80s nostalgia, explore iconic style, and dissect the chilling and charismatic world of Santa Clara. Whether you're a die-hard fan or a first time viewer, we'll guide you through the spine tingling details and unforgettable moments that make this film a genre staple. So grab your fangs. Let's get lost in the night. Hey, Mike. Yeah.
My pathetic attempt to join in. Hey, how's your week been, man?
It's been good. It's been good. I think it's true for 2024. It's like if you got a little bored, just wait a little bit, and something else, something crazy is going to happen in the world of politics or YouTube drama or something. Something's going to blow up.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, no kidding. Well, it was just nice to have a normal weekend without something unprecedented happening. I'll just put it that way, and then we can get on down the road. But
Yeah.
my goodness, it has been coming up quick here with the summer is going by. July, I had a very fun time with you, going through our seeing a lot of new movies, and that's what you're seeing there up on the screen. And if you are an audio listener, this is our YouTube page where you can find us. It's our bona fides. The first, the last, the nerdom, as Tom's eloquent. Awesome intros. Your intros are getting better every show. I gotta say, my friend.
Yep.
And
okay. Just little things here and there. Thanks, Chat GPT.
Hey, absolutely. You can also find Tom running up our Reddit department there. You can also find him on X, formerly known as the artist formerly known as Twitter. This joke has been done a billion times. And then if you so happen to on the heavier side of things, cover a lot of different things, and I will actually circle back around here and revisit my website here a little bit later on for some cool things that are coming down the line. But ApeIt.Ink, there we go. And then I'm also on Twitter as well. Again, this is more of the heavier side of life, that sort of thing. But as always, we are on YouTube. We really appreciate it if you could subscribe to us. We really do appreciate it. Thank you so much to the last couple of folks who just bumped us back up from the 429, 428 to 431. We greatly appreciate you joining the family. We are building a community here. This side of the house is just entertainment. It's not really heavy, hard-hitting things. If you want a Criterion level criticism, that would be elsewhere. But what I like to say about us is that we definitely have good range, and you're going to find something at some point that you're going to like. I would say within the first few scrolls of the wheel or move it. So we are eternally grateful to you folks out there. And without further ado, we can get into the actual. Ooh, that looks very strange. All right. There we go.
So yeah, I brought the Lost Boys to the table. Oh, yep. I gotta crack open my boomer juice.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm enjoying my Longboard Island Lager. So there's that.
Your adult beverage. But yeah, so the Lost Boys. So been one of my favorites. I really want to get into this one particularly because I think a lot of people enjoy this movie, but don't understand how influential this movie is. We'll get into it a little bit here.
Really is tip of the iceberg.
So, yeah, I saw this. Just a little history on it. We always like to tell our background for the movie. I just started getting into horror stuff about the time this movie came out, and started reading my first few Stephen King novels, and I actually read the novel, and they may still do to some effect, right? The novel version of the movie. It was done by the fantasy writer Craig Shaw Gardner, but I read the book before I saw the movie, and I was very highly anticipating this movie, and I was very pleasantly surprised by the movie. And it's one of those movies where you see it, and as a young adult, and later on you watch it, and sometimes those movies don't stack up to your expectations. But
Sure.
I highly enjoyed it this time
Nostalgia.
around. Yeah. So, how familiar are you with this movie, Mike? As you take a sip there.
Yeah, yeah, I absolutely. So I did not see this. I did not. This was not one of the '80s ones that I caught growing up. I
Hmm.
didn't see it until much later. And even when I did, it was interrupted. It was like probably on TV when I
Hmm.
saw it, and I just never. Whenever I probably saw about a third of it or so, maybe two thirds if I'm whatever. So I kind of was sort of familiar, and of course it permeates through our culture for a lot of different reasons.
Hmm.
So like I wasn't too terribly familiar. So this was a really cool, refreshing, start to finish, awesome watch through to experience it, and I'm glad I did. It is so 80s.
Hmm.
Good grief, it is in a good way, in a very good beloved, in a California way too, because there was a lot of it. Kind of reminded me of aspects of other movies, just not because of the plot or the whatever,
Hmm.
just because of the scene and the time frame.
Yeah. Yeah, and we try. I try to theme the movies that we see maybe by the time of year it is. So yeah, with it being July, of course there's the
Shame on
big
me.
big blockbuster movies, but Lost Boys just seems like a summer movie to me since it's on the beach. It's in California. It's
It
just
very
got
much is. Yeah.
that summer vibe to it. Even though towards the end it takes place at night, so you kind of lose the bright sunny California sun. But yeah, this just kind of screams summer to me for whatever reason, and it's set in the fictional Santa Clara, which is. Sort of Santa Cruz. It is Santa Cruz for the most part, the filming, but they didn't want. They were trying to attract families, so they allowed them to film it in Santa Cruz, but they had to rename it Santa Clara.
Interesting.
Although the Santa Cruz has come to embrace it, I think I read where like every year during the summer they do a big screening of the movie on the boardwalk. So that's kind of cool that they've kind of re-embraced it.
That is cool. Yeah, iconically California.
Yeah.
That the we're from Phoenix. Kind of funny. Yeah, Joel Schumacher.
Joel Schumacher. Yep, it was his
Yeah, yeah.
fourth movie. Yeah, it's so
Joel
basically the movies.
Schumacher.
Yeah,
Grief.
it's about a family that's recently kind of broken up. I think the mother's recently divorced,
Right.
and she's going back to live with her dad, with
Grandpa.
grandpa,
Yep.
and yeah, so the kids kind of get mixed up with some bad elements, which are vampires. Turns out
First,
to be vampires.
it looks like a gang.
Yeah, yeah, kind of
Gang.
a motorcycle gang.
Yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Ruffian, kind of a rough everybody's seen Grease, right?
Mhm.
Kind of that, or Grease 2, rather that motorcycle kind of aesthetic, the rougher side
Mhm.
of whatever. I was I always remember when I was growing up how the cool kids really had an earring in the
Yeah.
left ear, I think it was. I
Right.
always thought that was really cool. And I later on did that too, because it's just so cool, whatever. But that's one thing that I remember, because I would have, had I been that age and saw that, I would have thought that was the coolest thing. Like I would have thought
Mhm.
these kids were like the coolest, like
Mhm.
Sam, Emerson,
Yeah.
and the other two, the boys that he meets at the comic book shop that are the vampire crew, which is not spoiling anything. This is like right off the front, right on the nose. Like they don't even mess around. Um, it was also cool to see the comic book kind of nerd,
Mhm.
the back and forth, because that's exactly what I would do. Like that's exactly what I sounded like back then too. Like
Mhm.
I knew, not not necessarily for Superman at that point in my life, but X-Men. Oh boy, I could tell you this and
Mhm.
that. Like just like any true fan. So that's kind of like a really cool spot that I reminded me of what we do here, and also kind of growing up. So
Yeah.
this kind of had ricochet
Exactly.
things that are really nice from this
Yeah,
from
it's
this.
it's got like all these diverse elements to it, and it all works. when they were filming it, the studio kept asking Joel Schumacher, "Is this a comedy or is this a horror movie?" And Joel said yes. That was his answer. Yes, to both. It is both. So yeah, it's got all these stray elements to it that all just works together beautifully. It's one of those movies that all these elements in other movies maybe don't work, but for some reason it all kind of gels in this movie. This sort of Joel Schumacher's has made some stinkers, but yeah, this is that's sort of the case with a lot of the people in this movie. It's just sort of like that golden shiny star where they all kind of just came together and made something special. But yeah, it came at a time when I was ready for this. I kind of grew up with some of these actors, like with Corey Feldman. I'd seen him in Goonies, and now this is sort of like the more grown up version of Goonies. It's the R-rated Goonies.
Yeah.
Yeah, and to start with, this actually was a Richard Donner movie. He was going to direct it back in the day, and I meant to pull up the screenwriters that the
Jan Fischer, James.
James Jeremias or whatever his name.
Jeremias. Yeah,
Jeremias. Those two, Jan and James, were the original writers of it, and they'd said it. It was going to be younger. They're all going to be 13 to 14 years old. But yeah, there were the characters were going to be 13 and 14. They weren't going to be.
He died young too.
Mm-hmm. But yeah, they were going to be younger, and like the vampire hunters were going to be 8-year-old Boy Scouts, fat Boy Scouts, and then so the older, the 18-year-olds were going to be 13 and 14. So it was going to be shifted more younger, and it was going to be a G-rated movie. With Star wasn't going to be a woman in this; she was going to be a boy, and I think. It was going to be more on the nose for kind of correlation with Peter Pan. The head vampire, instead of being named David, was going to be named Peter.
Right.
And so they Richard Donner was going to direct it, but he got Lethal Weapon, so they were looking for someone else to direct it. And they approached Joel Schumacher, and Joel Schumacher was used to making more adult movies like St. Elmo's Fire, and he wasn't looking to make a kind of a G-rated movie, and to start off, he said he was gonna. He called up everybody to say no, he wasn't interested in this, and he couldn't get a hold of it. Back in that day, you couldn't get someone on a cell phone, but so he called him up, and he couldn't get a hold of anybody to say, hey, I don't want to do this. So he said he went out for a jog, and he was thinking about it. He goes, well, what if these teenagers were not 13 but 18, and it was a little bit more sexier, and Star was a woman, and what if they were kind of kind of a leathery bike gang, what if these the things were a little bit cooler, and so he went in. Richard Donner said that he put up like a little kind of sketches of how the characters would look, and then he was like, whoa, this is nothing I would ever do, but yeah, this is cool. So yeah, he kind of won him over to his idea. So it was really Joel Schumacher who aged it up and made it more sexier, more vibrant, and that's sort of the appeal. And I was going to say, I think this is one of the movies that kind of tipped over. Mostly horror movies were geared towards guys. Guys. Right. You'd have the voluptuous woman in it. You'd have the killer in it. All the no-name victims were all just forgettable people. Whereas in this movie, it gave more of a sex appeal to it.
It did.
And I think that this is the first horror movie where my sisters were like, so what's this movie about? Because there's all these attractive young men in it, and I think it really tapped an audience that was just used to, the boyfriend would drag the girlfriend to the movie. In this movie, probably the girlfriend was dragging the guy to it because
It
yeah, it has that appeal to it.
it's so funny too because you speak on the coolness part. Absolutely, it's got everything that was cool back then that we all kind of looked up to and or various aspects of. They hit the motorcycles, leather jacket, the fawns. It kind of hits all the Christmas tree of interest. Whoever you are, whatever your background, like this is very cool. I also kind of caught it. So I obviously now I'm a dad and much older than my young self. Between went back then and now, and I wasn't too much older after this came out. It was like like I had a friend and I got to see all the movies that I wasn't supposed to be able to see, like Gremlins and Total Recall, and or Gremlins 2, I think at that point. But anyway, but the point being, this has the Sam and Michael, and they're both big brother, little brother. I totally that resonates with me for sure, and it's just another aspect that grabs you in. But I can
Yeah,
also
their
see,
their relationship's so good.
well,
You could tell
it
that
really is.
Jason Patric and Corey Haim got along. That really solidifies the movie.
It's very natural. Like they play it very well. There's this sweetness to it, this innocence
Absolutely,
to
yeah,
it,
yeah, and
and
it would not work without that.
no,
This
would not,
movie,
no.
because they marry both parts of the movie. Sam has more of the comedic side of it with the vampire hunters, and
Right,
Michael does the more serious side of it. But they kind of bridge the gap between the two elements of the
they
movie
really
and,
do.
and make it work together. It just fits.
Yeah, it's almost like too that they are both the Peter Pan type character, or not necessarily that, but aspects like we were just saying, like that sweet innocence, the
Hmm.
family. Like whereas Michael is older and trying to figure out what's going on, and like we move
Yeah,
here and that it all works very well.
absolutely. Yeah,
And vampires are cool,
yeah,
the whole thing.
absolutely. And at the time, you got to remember, this sort of restarted the whole big vampire craze. Back in the day when Dracula came out, we think of it as sort of a period piece, but it came out in the 1800s, so it was of the day, and that he was making sexy vampire for that time period, and we kind of got away from vampires became more of that kind of Victorian kind of time period vampire, but
Right,
Anne Rice was making a big splash in the written world during that time in the 80s with her interview the vampire book
oh
and
yeah,
her series, and was making vampires sexy, so women were kind of geared towards vampires then as well. Was kind of prepped up for this, and this is the one of the first movies that made modern day vampires and made them modern day sexy,
mm,
yeah, and just made them cool again, and that's kind of perpetuated the big vampire craze. I think this movie is highly influential in the. I think you wouldn't have Buffy the Vampire Slayer without this movie. It
no,
made
no way.
made the cool, it made it the cool teenagers again that said
Right.
cool things and were funny and were entertaining, and so yeah, that of course kind of covers all of the WB and the CW, all those series, TV series. It sort of
Right.
influenced all this, and I would also say it influenced a generation of horror movies with it was geared towards the big bad guy in the movies like Freddy Krueger, you know Michael Myers and all those guys. Those were the stars in the movie, whereas this movie, even though it had no name actors at the time. They became, this movie made all of these actors, like
It
Kiefer
really did.
Sutherland. This is Kiefer Sutherland's second or third movie. Jason Patric made his name for himself. The poster for the movie that's our thumbnail has those actors pull now, and you're looking is like, who are these, these highly attractive people on the cover, who are these people? And that's sort of how horror movies have kind of appealed to people now. There's the I Know What You Did Last Summer. You have those big stars on the cover. That it's sort of become kind of the template of how to do horror movies in the future. you
And,
you
and
you get the
and
highly attractive people on the cover, on the poster, and that's gonna have them say cool things, and it just be a kind of a cool movie. This is I almost think that this is sort of like the Star Wars of its time, that kind of showed you that a horror movie can be a blockbuster. You can draw all this star power to it and make
right.
something big out of it.
Well, it's got everything that's cool. Like
Mm-hmm.
when I was a kid, anything army was cool. Is
Mm-hmm.
Sam's buddies have it, the
Mm-hmm.
Vampire
Mm-hmm.
Slayers. They have the
The
cool.
Frog Brothers. Yep.
Yeah, the frog.
Edgar,
Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
absolutely. Yeah,
Edgar and Allan, not
yeah,
Edgar Allan Poe.
yeah. That's right. That's right. Yeah. And you had the vampires and the hair and the whole thing. Well, I had a point there. Oh, I was gonna say. Oh, yeah. It tells a good story too. To boot. And
Yeah.
it does it very well with comedy, just enough.
Mm-hmm.
Not to take itself too seriously. But you
Right.
still are. But you're not off put. You're still kind of like believable.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Like, oh, holy crap, this world
Mm-hmm.
exists out here, and you accept it
Mm-hmm.
very readily, and it works. It works very well. So,
Absolutely.
not too many movies they try to do one of too much of the other thing, or not act too much action, too much horror, too much comedy or whatever.
Absolutely. Yeah.
It really is a cool aspect.
Yeah. And it's like, I think also, I think Joel kind of was open to the movie. Like, he knew, he kind of he was very very much in tune with horror, and he said, yeah, vampires the only horror creation that's sexy. Zombies aren't sexy, werewolves aren't sexy.
No.
Although furries might try to tell you differently, but in the
Well, there's like
Frankenstein's
a
not
built-in
sexy.
tension
Yeah.
to the whole
Hmm.
fact, like like werewolves is going to eat you.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
whereas, like, the whole romanticize probably more
Hmm.
that Anne Rice did, and Tom Cruise, obviously,
Yeah, and
that
he
makes
knew.
this work.
Absolutely. And he had a little bit of trouble getting Patric. He knew that the only actor that could play the role in his mind, and he spent 6 weeks trying to convince Jason to do the movie, because Jason didn't want to
Oh,
do
wow.
sort of exploitational vampire movie. He saw it as a cheap sort of vampire movie, and
Throwaway.
exactly. And he only agreed to it in regards to him having kind of an influence on the movie. So I think all of the people that had influence on the movie um, only wanted to make it better. So I think all of the positive stuff in it, because you have all these influences when you're making a movie, and you could it could become a mess, or it could become something that it shouldn't be because of all the influences. But I think all of the influence on this were positive, so it made the movie more positive. And Jason was actually the guy who got Jami Gertz as star, because Joel said he kind of wanted a sort of like a blonde kind of waif little woman kind of running around, and Jason was like, no, Jami Gertz. He did, I think, Space Babies with her, and
Hmm.
Joel said he might had a little bit of a crush on her, so that might have been another reason why he tried to get her on the movie. But yeah, she was perfect for star in this movie, and yeah, I don't think another actress might have done as well. And a lot of this is there's The Star doesn't have a whole lot of dialogue to it. David doesn't either as a vampire.
Hmm.
Michael and Sam are, are the most dialogue heavy characters in the movie, but yeah, their influence is more of their presence, and he really got some actors that really have great presence and that can act without saying things. David's very it is sort of a force to be reckoned with. That first opening scene with them kind of being menacing on the Ferris wheel or the merry-go-round.
Right. When the
It's
cop, the
yeah,
security guy, I think
got
security guy or rent a cop, whatever.
it
Yeah.
shows up and yeah, you just know that they're bad dudes. That you don't have to have a whole lot of dialogue there,
Right.
and I like how it was they took a cut in the budget because Joel wanted all these unknown actors in it, and so they said, "Well, if you want all these actors, we're going to cut the budget," which they did, and so they had to think creatively whenever they were doing the special effects, and that caused, like in the beginning of the movie where they attack the security guard. They're flying in to attack him, but you don't see them flying. You just see the camera kind of swooping down, and that was to cut the budget, but it also made it look cool.
It did.
Yeah, it was to the benefit of the movie, and a lot of times we've said it time and time again is like having a limited budget doesn't always make it a worse film. It
Mm-mm.
makes it more creative, and sometimes you find creative and maybe unique ways to doing things when you kind of have to think outside the box because you have to save money. And then if you have all the money in the world, you can get lazy. And this kind of kind of makes you kind of makes for it in terms of creativity.
I don't know any franchise that you're talking about or referring to, Tom, at all. But no, and I kind of shared this with you a little bit before we got going. Another aspect of this movie, not only being the '80s, but the Big Brother character. The character name is Michael,
Hmm.
and they say Michael probably like a million billion times. And when I was a kid,
I
I
think I think it says 115 or something like that
I have
times.
no
Yeah.
idea, but I would not doubt. I would not contest that number. But they say it a lot.
Yeah,
But
absolutely.
when I was growing up,
Michael.
yeah, when I was growing up,
Uh-huh.
you know how your parents say your name in a certain kind of way, in a certain,
Hmm.
that would, Michael, like they would yell Michael like that, and I would,
Hmm.
or just say it, and I just grew to I just for a long time, probably not until like well after fourth grade, that I get comfortable with liking my name because I just didn't like the way it sounded coming out. It's because my name was being called when I growing up as a kiddo. But all joking aside, I got over that obviously. But
Which is
uh,
crazy because I used to always like the name Michael. So.
yeah, see, I remember at kindergarten. It was probably before kindergarten, and I remember a few of the early thoughts, like way before then. I was like, kind of like, I guess I like it or whatever. And then it wasn't until like probably kindergarten that I actually started to kind of like it a little bit more.
There you
But
go.
but yeah, see, I thought Tom was cool. Like,
Hmm.
Tom, but it's all funny. But
Yeah.
no, that just added to the whole
Hmm.
ring around the whole thing. That just brings it all in. One of many aspects that is endearing about this, and just the sweetness between older brother and younger brother. And of course they had the dog, and the mom, is kind of a absent-minded
Yeah.
parent, I guess. I don't know, but they didn't really spend too much time on the concept of the mom or the grandpa or it's
Right.
kind of it's not to the detriment of the film at all because you really don't need to know any of these people aside from here's mom, here's situation sets up and then we move on down the
Hmm.
line for in the typical
Hmm.
parent to teenager, like, just talk to me, like,
Right.
I'm sure
Yeah.
we all have that a little bit, like, why won't you talk? Yeah,
Yeah.
because you're not cool, mom,
Yeah.
or dad.
Yeah. A lot of it's sort of archetypal. It's sort of like you're familiar with the situation. You're familiar with that mom. You know that at least from other movies, other TV
Dianne
series.
West.
Yeah, yeah. Dianne Wiest. Yeah, she actually
Yeah.
had won an Oscar right before this movie for Hannah and
No
her
kidding.
sisters,
No kidding.
and Joel was kind of shocked that she wanted that she decided to do it. She was his pick for the role,
She
and
is chugging
yeah,
along. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. And Barnard Hughes as Grandpa as well, which the fans of our channel will recognize him from Tron. He was
Oh yeah.
in Tron as the computer guy, and he's also in
Which one
the
again? Sorry.
yeah, he's the guy that made the big laser whatever in the Tron.
Oh, but what was the name?
Bernard Hughes.
Oh,
Bernard
okay.
Hughes, yeah,
Gotcha.
as Grandpa, and Grandpa's sort of an eccentric kind of character. Sort of I liked his thing about not having a TV but getting the TV guide, and you may want to rip off the label on the TV guide, but don't do it. He doesn't like because that'll destroy the cover.
No, I know you want to, but don't.
But don't. There's a lot of
And
memorable lines in this movie. I
the
love
second
this.
shelf,
Yeah.
stay away. That's mine.
Yes, that's mine. Of course, there's some speculation that he might be a vampire as well, and that he has his stash of blood there in the second shelf. But yeah,
Interesting.
exactly. Yeah. So you were talking about the comic book shop. It's a real comic book shop there in Santa Cruz called Atlantis Fantasy World, and so there's one scene where Sam's coming into the comic shop, and there's a couple of guys playing pinball in the background. The guy with the beard is actually the owner of the shop.
Here,
And
that's
Joe Ferrara the second is his name, and he still has that comic book shop. There was a earthquake that destroyed the original comic book shop and some of the locations that were in the movie. But he's since relocated his comic book shop, and he does have that that issue of Vampires Everywhere. That was not a real comic book. They made it for the
movie.
for the movie.
Right.
Joel said, being a day. Hey,
Yeah, yeah. So we're at 25-minute mark or so, and you were telling us about the comic book,
yeah,
about
yeah,
the location, right?
right, yeah. The Atlantis. Oh, yeah, the world. Yeah, it's is done by Joe Ferrara the second. He owns it. He's in the movie. He's the guy in the background playing the pinball machine with the beard, and yeah, he he actually has the actual comic book from the movie Vampires Everywhere. And the Joel talked about how he wanted to. As a kid, everybody wanted to make a comic book, so that was their kind of dream come true, is making the comic book for the movie. And so Joe actually has a copy of the movie there at his comic book shop, and you can actually take a picture with it. He'll let people pick it up and hold it and take a picture with it. So if you're ever in Santa Cruz, want to go to that comic book shop, you could go visit them and get a picture with the comic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and what happened to the earthquake? Happened to the original spot,
Yeah,
and yeah, you were telling about that.
yeah,
That was
it
fascinating.
yeah, it kind of destroyed. There was an earthquake. I forget how long ago it was, but
Right.
it ruined. It kind of destroyed some of the locations, like the original location for the comic book shop, and also
Right.
that in the beginning of the movie where they're having that big concert there. I think that
Mhm.
pavilion part of it got destroyed as well. So. If you're looking for,
Mm.
if you're going there to recreate some of the scenes from Lost Boys, it's those portions aren't there anymore. They had to relocate the comic book shop and
Right
the
on.
other stuff. So I think the video store that the mom gets hired at is still there. It's a gift shop now, but I
know,
love all the '80s stuff, like the yeah, Max
just the
working, yeah,
fashion.
yeah, the Max working at the or owning the video store. That video store so iconic for
I
'80s, and it's
I
'80s to the 10th degree with
it only
Max's
right.
'80s suits.
I'm sure. Yeah, no. There are so many things that you kind of touch on that are nostalgia bait all throughout this, just because of where it was. Again, '80s movie set very squarely in the '80s. No mistaking it. Done very very well. Peak '80s probably, or not
Yeah.
too far from peak '80s. And then you made yourself out from '89 with other fun.
Yeah, and we talked about how influential this movie is to say the future of horror, but also it was the thing that influenced it was very much MTV. MTV was a huge influence on this. The music in this, the the various songs that they put into the movie work so wonderfully well, and it's not the typical loud metal or rock songs that are playing. They're all kind of a little bit different. You got Lou Graham singing something from the singer from Foreigner. Don't let the sun go down on me song in it. It's very sparse, different. It's very different music throughout. It's not the same note. It kind of plays different. And then the big saxophone, the Tina Turner's saxophone player doing "I Still Believe." That's that's one of the more iconic
Okay.
scenes. He's become a kind of like a meme worthy nowadays. He's the greased up guy with the saxophone singing. They said he actually was working out with weights in between takes of the song to make himself look as good as he can during that. But yeah, MTV and also the way music videos are done kind of influence um, how acceptable the people were to various different film techniques. Where say 70s, it was pretty much really straightforward filmmaking, but like the scene where Michael gets drinks the blood and becomes a vampire, is sort of a kind of like a montage with overlapping images, and which may not have worked earlier, but with '80s and how music videos kind of broke how storytelling could be told within a music video, it kind of made people accept that, oh, okay, just go along with that kind of cool scene where all those images overlap. You're not confused. You go, oh, okay, there's talking about time progression, and how in it with the music and everything, it just made it cool. This movie has a lot of cool factor to it, and like Roger Ebert kind of discounted the movie because he said it was more styled than anything else, but I think that's
It
becomes a character of the movie. It's
it
what makes you want to watch
it played a very subtle
it.
part, and it
Uh-huh.
played its layer very well in this movie.
Mhm.
So I would,
Mhm.
very interesting. No, you have the classic kind of come together, fight, and of course, it's funny how they did, how they're kind of like, you're a vampire, and then all of a sudden they're just like hanging out in front of the mirror, and then translucent, whatever.
Yeah, and I like Sam. His fashion sense is very interesting in the movie. He looks like he stepped off of a Wham video, a music video.
A lot of people look like they stepped off of the Wham video, or like what the future might have been in Back to the Future.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And one of the things I didn't pick up on when I watched it when I was a younger, it's very subtle with the character Sam. You could kind of this may have been Joel's influence as well, since he's a gay man as well. Sam may be gay. The interesting thing with in his room, he's got the big poster of Rob Lowe. Um which kind of threw me off as a kid. I was like, why would a guy want a poster of a shirtless Rob Lowe on his wall? And then now I'm thinking, well, okay, well, if he's gay, then that makes sense,
Right.
in his keen fashion sense, that kind of. But yeah, there's kind of like speculation. I was reading on IMDb that a lot of people kind of speculate that Sam's gay, which just kind of, if that's there, and I listened to Joel Schumacher's commentary on the 4K of Lost Boys. He didn't kind of point that out. He didn't address that. He just said that he put Rob Below on the wall because he directed St. Elmo's Fire, and that was just kind of Rob Lowe was cool at the time, so he did. That's why he threw him up on the wall.
Right.
But yeah, I mean, it just kind of makes sense, and the fact that it was so subtle, it was in your face. I think that just kind of adds a different speculative layer to the movie. That just kind of adds to it,
Well,
without detracting.
well, you have rock and roll, which has always been can, rock and roll was a very big thing back then, and it could have been a somewhat ambiguous thing, which it
Hmm.
was. They had. Well, you lived in the '90s, same as I did.
Hmm.
There was like this androgynous thing, and I'm sure it was even
Right.
earlier on the scene in the '80s. So,
Hmm.
and this is California too, and California was a cool place, like where all the cool things happen in California or whatever. So I'm sure there is, like, I've read a few different takes here and there about different representation,
Yeah. Yeah.
things that are kind of maybe being played footsie with a little bit, or innuendo a little bit, or not innuendo, but kind of
Hmm.
hinting at there could be another layer here. That there's
Yeah.
different aspects of that throughout the whole thing, and of
Hmm.
course the whole concept of vampire, is like human or and they don't really go into this at all, and I'm really kind of but I'm not really like leaning into something that's new, right?
Hmm.
So humans are the food, we're the cattle, we're
Hmm.
the chattel, we're
Right.
Star, who was obviously part of the that gang or whatever.
Hmm.
You had the gang and the initiation, they
Hmm.
become, for whatever reason, he just fit into their aesthetic. It was like, hey, basically, you got long hair, you're cool,
Hmm.
you're our age, and you already got your motorcycle, you're in. It was like the quickest gang initiation ever. But again, they don't spend too much time around the corners trying to get it right. They
Right.
cut
And
it, they
mhm.
cut it, and it's perfectly adequate, and then they move on.
Yeah, there's on the blue or the Blu-ray 4K Blu-ray, they have some about 15 minutes of deleted scenes. All of it's sort of kind of expository, kind of filling in the gaps. Um, the stuff that they cut out, in other words, doesn't need to be there. Like
Mm,
with Max asking the mom out on the date, that
right.
part's kind of already known. They kind of explain how Michael got the money for the leather jacket. He got a day job cleaning trash on the beach, which I can understand why. There's a scene where he takes off his shirt during that, which the ladies might be
Standard 80s.
missing that, but yeah, they kind of downgrades his character, picking up trash on the beach. He's got, he's so cool in the movie, and then that scene might kind of detracted from that. So yeah, that's kind of understandable why they would have cut that out. But yeah, it's a cool 97-minute movie. I mean, it's in and out without before you get bored with it. It's and one of the things I'd like to speculate on, well, talk
If
about is
I was gonna say something funny. If Tim
uh
Pool, a YouTube personality we both followed throughout time, if he had hair, this is what I would envision his hair looking like. It would be Kiefer Sutherland's hair. Anyway, go on. Sorry.
yeah. No, yeah, just to touch on Jason Patric again, who plays Michael. There was always this talk about him looking like a young Jim Morrison, and The Doors is a heavy
Yes.
influence. Yeah, is a heavy influence on this movie. There's a
Sure.
big Jim Morrison poster in their vampire lair, and Joel Schumacher said, the Doors would probably be hip and cool for vampires because their music is sort of kind of has that rebellious sort of nature to it,
Oh yeah.
and that might have been why the vampires were kind of attracted to Jason Patric's character because he had that kind of a mystique or look of Jim Morrison, and actually, I think my my sisters were kind of upset that he didn't end up playing Jim Morrison in the documentary movie later on that Val Kilmer ended up being. There was a lot of people upset that he wasn't because he was their Jim Morrison. They kept
That
saying,
was the
if they
one that
make a
was
movie out the door.
universally accepted in that group of folks, right?
Yeah.
That's fun. I could see that though. Absolutely.
Yep, and the David's kind of gang of vampires. One of them you may recognize is Alex Winter, who went on to the Bill and Ted fame, and who's a director in his own right these days. He he was known as, if you look at the credits, he's Alexander Winter in this movie, and to the vexation of Joel Schumacher, Joel thought Alex Winter would look better on the posters and wouldn't take up as much space. So he had Alex Winter petition the writers or the Actors Guild to alter his name down to Alex Winter. But it didn't go through until after the movie was made. So he ended up being Alexander Winter in this movie, but in the future movies he's Alex Winter.
Right.
But yeah, I was watching the movie and I saw that and saw Alexander Winter. What? Okay, I thought.
The difference,
Yeah,
right.
yeah,
The delta, right?
Yeah, yep. And but yeah, if you're really into the Lost Boys, I definitely recommend this podcast, of course, and also the 4K. It's got the Joel Schumacher commentary, which is highly entertaining and informative. He does a great job. I know some directors don't do very good commentary. He does a really good job of giving you a lot of different information, be entertaining, and just it's a very enlightening commentary. And there's some back in the day, kind of. I think the original DVD was made in the early 2000s. So I think a lot of the documentary stuff and interviews, and I think even the commentary was from that. So I don't think there's anything really new on this. But it's all all kind of timeless, and also you get a interview and some commentary from the two Corys, Corey Haim and Corey Feldman. Corey Haim, unfortunately, R.I.P. He's no longer with us. You could tell that maybe he was on some type of substance or something. He didn't seem all there, unfortunately. But
I caught a little bit of that, yeah.
yeah, and but Corey Feldman, he's always in a character. We did a show on Suburbia, and on all of that one, or not. What was it, Suburbia? The Burbs.
Oh yeah. No, you're right. Yeah, the Burbs.
The Burbs. Corey Feldman's in that, and all the extras I watched on him on that were highly entertaining. He's very much. He's always on. He's always on. He's always saying jokes. The commentary on this wasn't really that informative, but was very entertaining with Corey Feldman. He's a joke a second. This guy. Not all of it lands. Most of it doesn't, but some of it does. There's a scene where they're getting ready for the vampire attack. They know the vampires are coming for them. The Frog Brothers and Sam, they're preparing stuff, and There's the scene where Sam's bashing up garlic. They're putting it into
Bathtub.
the bathtub, and Corey Feldman's doing his commentary on that scene, and he goes, "Okay, we're waiting on a date with the vampires. Here we are, chopping up the garlic for the pasta," and then then they switch to the bathtub. He goes, "And who doesn't like a little bit of pasta in the bathtub?" It was very funny. Corey Feldman can be funny, but yeah, like I said, he's very entertaining. So yeah, if you're any type of a Corey Feldman stan, I definitely recommend the extras on that. He's a legend in and of himself, and
Well, he was. You cannot think, and this kind of is sad a little bit for some things, but you can't look at his face and not think of the '80s. I mean, you can't think of like a
absolutely.
litany of whether you fall on Lost Boys or
Mm-hmm.
one or another iconic '80s classic. This is in the pantheon of like probably the
Mm-hmm.
top 10 definitive '80s films that you would think of growing up, either
Absolutely.
as an adult or a kid or whatever your situation was in 1987. You have some kind of memory of this,
But
as we
yeah,
all do.
yeah, and Corey Feldman also talks about how him and Corey Haim were fighting for the same parts. I think they were both almost. Corey Feldman got cast in the Goonies and Corey Haim was up for the same part and almost got that part. And then there's all those teeny bopper magazines back in the day. So Corey Feldman was like, he would be paging through and be like, "Who's this Corey Haim guy? I'm the only Corey in Hollywood," And
Right.
and in fact, they shared the same girlfriend. Actually, his ex girlfriend started dating Corey Haim, and she would be talking about this
So funny.
Corey, and he's like, "Ah."
Yeah,
But
same.
ended up, yeah. He was kind of shocked and put off by the fact that they were both in this movie. The two Coreys finally meet, and they actually became good friends and made a bunch of Corey movies. The two Corey movies. Later on, I think they ended up doing almost like 9 of those movies. But yeah, so this was the first movie where the Coreys got together, and the I really one of the things I really enjoy about the movie are the Frog Brothers. They went on to do. There are Lost Boys sequels. I have not seen them. There's 2 and 3, and they follow the adventures of the Frog Brothers hunting vampires. So I've heard heard they're not very good. So I never did. And Corey Feldman is in I think both of them. I think the other Frog Brothers in the third movie. So yeah, there's those to check out. But I enjoyed the Frog Brothers in this movie, and Corey Feldman. He said the directorial influence that Joel had was he made him watch a bunch of Sylvester Stallone, Chuck Norris movies. He goes, this is your character. Emulate these the tough guys in these movies.
That's funny. Well, I had no idea. I'm just looking over his repertoire.
Hmm.
And he was Donatello's voice in Teenage Mutant Ninja
Oh
Turtles in
yeah,
19,
yep.
1990, which was the best Ninja Turtles movie of all time.
Hmm.
Uh, but I was just scrolling up here
Oh,
through.
one more thing about Corey Feldman. He's a you may not know it, but he's also a rock star. He has his own band, and
Hmm,
there's uh, a channel on YouTube I watch, which is Who Are These Podcasts, where
hmm.
Carl Hamburger, it's his channel. He makes fun of bad podcasts. Hopefully, we're never on the show being made fun of. But
Well,
hey,
we'll be in it.
I'll take it as an honor if we do. But him and some
No
other
problem.
guys, yeah, him and some other guys went to a Corey Feldman concert. He opened up for Limp Bizkit. And they went specifically for Corey Feldman and did some recordings. So if you want to see what Corey Feldman's up, check out their channel. Who are these podcasts? And check out their coverage on the Corey Feldman concert. Quite entertaining.
I will. Good grief. I will add that to the show notes actually while
Yeah.
anyway.
And shout out to the dog in it, Nanook. He's quite a expressive dog in and of himself. The dog's in
Yeah.
this. Him and
And Thornton.
Warren both were.
Yeah, the dog. They were. I wonder if they have that. They probably don't have that on the cast. Probably not there.
They do. They do. In the movie, I noticed them in the credits as it was rolling by, but maybe I don't know if they have it in the in there. But yeah, highly entertaining movie. Like I said, it's one of my favorite horror movies. It's got a little bit of everything. Like I said, it's a perfect.
It really does.
It's a perfect mix of comedy and horror, and it's one of those first few movies that did it and did it well enough. Like I said, the the studio, from what I can understand, they didn't interfere too much within the movie, so it's very much a creation that Joel sort of did. And kind of created in conjunction with it all the different actors in it. Like I said, Jason Patric had a heavy influence on this movie, um, and yeah, all these it created stars like I said, Kiefer Sutherland's had a huge career, and I think there's an interview with him on the extras, and he says, this is the movie that everybody returns to. He's like, we're crazy about what you're doing these days, but that the movie that says Kiefer Sutherland to me is Lost Boys.
Right, right.
Very
Yeah,
iconic.
yeah, you're right. This has. I seen this if I was back maybe a couple years after it came out,
Hmm.
I would have instantly fallen in love with it. It would have absolutely been a favorite. It's very clear why, because it still resonates today, right?
Hmm.
So it is cool, and you don't just realize how wide Corey Feldman is for his talent and his longevity. So good,
Yeah,
and we still
yeah.
have him, thank God. So
Yeah, which is surprising because
good
I was
God,
reading some stuff, and he was he was strung out on cocaine during this movie, actually, and he got fired one day for it. He came back, kind of. You're not hungover on cocaine, but he was strung out on cocaine, and
high as a kite.
yeah, and and Joel fired him, and Corey Feldman came back the next day begging to be on the movie, and he let him back under the understanding that that wouldn't happen again. So yeah, yeah, and they're all young in this movie. Like even Jason Patric, I thought he looks older, but he's actually only 18 in this. All the actor, the oldest
The oldest
actors
actor.
are 18.
Yeah, you were saying the oldest actors were 18.
As far as the vampires and the teenagers, yeah, and
Right, right.
The Coreys were 16 at the time. So yeah, all age appropriate for the sometimes during the 80s you would have the actors kind of aged up, but yeah, they're
Right.
all young. Yeah, you have a 24-year-old playing a 16-year-old in some
21
some of
Jump
those
Street.
80s movie there shows. But yeah, yeah, they're all kind of age appropriate in this, and of course you kind of have to uh, put in with all they would age them up because to avoid all the having to have them go to school during the during the filming of it, to accommodate for that. Uh but yeah, also the special effects, there's not a whole lot, but one of the things they didn't want to do, there were during the 80s is very much before CGI, you had to have all these prosthetics and make the monsters all cool looking. Where in this movie, they wanted the vampires to still look like the actors, so they did like the forehead and the eyes and stuff. and but they wanted to make sure that you could see the actors' expressions and whatnot. So it's very subtle, and actually a
Right.
lot of the vampire stuff that came after it kind of apes it. You know, the again the Buffy the Vampire Slayer, their vampires are direct rip off of the Lost Boys ones, where they get vamped out, and the term vamping out was created in this movie. We wouldn't have that term
Really?
vamping out
Huh.
without this movie. Yeah, it's the first time that
Nice.
that was used, and yeah, that's um, and also that scene. There's a scene where David has a little tear that comes down his eyes
Mm.
at one of the more emotional scenes, and yeah, it kind of stands out, and you go, "Wow, Kiefer is really a good actor." But actually, those are hard contact lenses,
Oh,
and they were very irritating to the eye. And then that scene, that tear is a genuine tear from the contact, and
that's funny.
it just kind of worked out and was made the scene more emotional. But yeah, it was an
No
accident.
kidding. That's awesome. Yeah, that is good. Well, they did a good job. They didn't go. They did everything just right. I would say
Hmm.
kind of Goldilocks zone all throughout the movie, from the wardrobe to the sunglasses to just the whole feel, the whole friggin' vibe.
Hmm.
Everything was just cool.
Yep.
Yeah, this one is a highly recommend, and it's kind of a no brainer if you haven't seen it in a while.
And yeah, yeah. As a teenager, Sam was a very relatable character, even though he had his wild fashion sense and. But yeah, he's sort of like that everyday, that kid that you could relate to, and he wasn't like the nerd kid from other movies. You know, he would have the glasses and be kind of a bookish sort of nerd. But Corey Haim had the frosted tips. He was he was kind of cool looking, and he kind of bumped up the coolness of everybody in the movie. But yeah, yeah, it's like you said, it's a very cool, hip, stylish movie that, as I would say, translate to today. I mean, the kids today would probably find it as hip as it was back then. You know.
Yeah, I think it stands. I think it's still cool.
Yeah.
And it's kind of, it might be a little
Well,
laggy
dated. Yeah.
for kiddos nowadays, but that's kind of the other thing too. Wait a little bit, and then become the 80s will become that. Like how people look upon the 90s or whatever as every other decade. The longer we get here in time, the people look fondly on different decades and whatnot. So like
Yeah.
that certainly. I don't know about you, but I get into a nostalgia, drive through nostalgia sometimes on the YouTubes. For
Yeah.
they get everything out there. They got friggin' if you want to watch 4 hours of commercials from the 80s or 90s, pick your top. Practically down into the geographic area of the country. There's something out there for you. No,
Absolutely.
I like this. This is a strong recommend. Or I think we're kind of closing up here toward the tippy top of the show. And was there anything else? Like, because I did want to talk about a couple other things before it ended for the day. But yeah, you were right. I just wanted to call the attention to the fact that you called it earlier. Edgar Allan Poe, Edgar and Allan were the Frog Brother names. Like
Yep.
you had mentioned that at the top, but I just wanted to kind of bring it
Hmm.
back up because that's
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Like they don't even like it's just cool
Right.
how they just weave that, and that's just the tip of the iceberg for the coolness.
Yeah, and yeah, and if you wanted more of Lost Boys of the Frog Brothers, I know there's a comic book that came out during when the sequels were being made, so
Hmm.
you can kind of track those down. There was a Joel Schumacher had wanted to do a sequel, and he said, "Well, we made the guys cool and the Lost Boys. He wanted a group of female vampires in the sequel and call it the Lost Girls." Um, so uh,
That's funny.
so yeah, that one would have been interesting. And there's speculation, and they made sure. Spoiler. Skip ahead a little bit if you don't want to hear this on Lost Boys. That's a little bit
Hmm.
old, but if you hadn't seen it, skip ahead a little bit. But David doesn't die in this movie.
Hmm.
he doesn't blow up or melt or any implode or whatever in this movie. And actually, when the Edgar, the Frog Brother, Corey Feldman, kind of runs through how the various vampires can die, that actually is what they do, in fact, do in that order.
Oh, okay.
And there's a little bit more spoilers when they're coming onto the merry-go-round in the beginning of the movie. The order that they step onto the merry-go-round is the reverse order when they die, and when they fall off of the train tracks, they fall in the order that they die as well.
Oh, that's funny. Huh.
Another cool thing is that those railroad tracks, it looks like they're way up in the sky. Actually, where it was filmed, the fog kind of covers that the ground's like right underneath them.
That's awesome.
So
No,
yeah.
that's very good practical effects, very good cutting away, very master craft. Perfectly, every shot builds into the next, like
Yep.
a very coherent movie, and it becomes indelible.
And there's two green screen scenes. Very quickly, there's one where the one vampire grabs Sam up into the air. That's green screened, and there's a scene where David and Michael kind of fly together to meet together in the sky, and that's green screen. Also, Joel gave some very handy tips for young filmmakers out there. There's the famous scene where David offers Michael the Chinese food, and he says that the rice is maggots, and you see the maggots kind of moving around in there. He said that they had to have maggot wranglers, and if you got maggots, you got to have wranglers. And he said to the maggots just lay there; they don't really move. To get them to move, spritz a little bit of lemon juice on them. That gets them moving. Same thing with the worms. He also offers them noodles that turns into worms, and just a little bit of lemon on them that gets them moving. And then there's a scene where the Frog Brothers and Sam get into the vampire's lair, and they had fly wranglers because they wanted a bunch of flies in that scene, which you don't even actually see in the scene. Warner Brothers set, and those flies got out, and I guess they reproduced and spread over all of the Warner Brothers' lot. So they had a big fly problem for a long time because of this movie.
That's
but
awesome.
but yeah, I think that's all the little tidbits of facts that I gleaned from this movie. But yeah, it's like I said, it's one of those movies that kind of sticks with me. Like I said, it's I read the novelization. It's one of those movies that I really really truly love, and yeah, it's I don't want to tarnish the movie with seeing those bad sequels that they made.
No, I would agree. That's exactly what I was thinking when you were talking about the sequels. I'm good. This is it. I'm good. I have control over that for sure. Nor am I curious enough about this world. Perhaps if I was a little bit more of a nerd on vampires, then I would want to kind of get the maximum thing out of it. But I'm good. I'm good.
Yep. And if you guys out there have seen the sequels and think we should, write it in the comments. I know I get a lot more interaction on Reddit when I do my posts. I would love if you've made it this far. Do a like, subscribe, and do a comment if you don't mind. Let us know how we're doing. If you like, dislike, we like all kind of commentary. And Mike, you said you had some other points you wanted to
I
cover?
did. I'm going to pull this one into. I thought I had written a story about it or like a little stub, but I didn't. So I'm just going to share my Facebook post that I shared. That you already know about this one because we kind of talked about it a little bit. But couple days ago, yesterday maybe, Robert Downey Jr. was announced to be the Doctor Doom for the Fantastic Four, and I know you are more of a Fantastic Four fan. I just wanted to kind of I was really interested in what and I kind of know what your response is because you replied to my thing in real life, but but I just wanted to kind of bring it up as conversation. Does this excite you? Will this pull you in to at least see the first offering of Fantastic Four, like whenever the hell it comes, like whatever that timeline is? Are you gonna go see it? Or where's your ping meter here? Where's it
Well,
hitting?
I was excited about a Fantastic Four movie when they originally said the cast for it. I thought they did a quite a good job with casting it. But then the future stuff kind of tarnishing it. The whole thing with the Silver Surfer. I was kind of
All the
didn't
leaks and all that, yeah, or
yeah, it
not even
wasn't.
leaks. They're actual stills from the show and like kind of
Well, yeah,
details that they want you to know about.
the casting. Yeah, I wasn't very keen on that. And then with this, it seems like to me it's kind of stunt casting, and also it leads me what they're going to be doing with this because Robert Downey Jr. obviously Iron Man. So yeah, so is this going to be sort of like a multiversal thing where Tony Stark is Doctor Doom in another timeline or whatever that Fantastic Four's in? And if that's so, that sucks. I want Victor Von Doom. I don't want an evil Tony Stark as Doctor Doom. I think they're trying to maybe run before they learn to walk. I mean,
Mm,
this whole thing with the multiverse is kind of cool if you already have all the elements kind of nailed down,
right.
like the Victor Von Doom and stuff like that. Once you got the basis for these characters, then you can maybe go into the multiverse and say, "Hey, what if Tony Stark was Doctor Doom? That would be kind of cool." That should be more of the what if realm of things, and that's if Tony Stark is going to be the multiverse Doctor Doom. If Robert Downey Jr. is just going to play Victor Von Doom,
Right.
um, Robert Downey Jr. is so iconic as Robert Downey Jr. and Iron Man that I don't know, are they going to do prosthetics on his face, and why have Robert Downey Jr. if you're going to make him look like someone totally different, you know? um,
Well, and that's kind of the trade-off, because we'll see. I don't know that I have. I do think that I'm going to try to sneak out one day this week. I'm going to try. I try to get a cheap seat and go see it really early in the morning. Um,
the
the
Deadpool movie.
Deadpool Wolverine, yeah.
Yeah.
Because I kind of I am curious, and and I've heard nothing but good things. But
Mhm.
I wonder what my opinion will be after, because like right now it's kind of like, okay, that's interesting, but then yeah, I had the kind of the same thoughts that you were having, like how does this work, and then it's like, you know what, never mind. Like it's too complicated. Like, but as long as they don't make it to like where you got to do homework for this stuff, because you got to start fresh somewhere with the
Mhm.
Marvel phase,
Yeah.
whatever we're in or not. Get back to the really good storytelling,
Yeah, and I
and I'll
I
be a
made
happy
a
fan. But I got burnt out
yeah.
on these, like, going through.
Yeah. I'll eventually see Deadpool and Wolverine, but I think they didn't price gouge you. You said that they didn't up the price of
No,
admission. My
yeah, that's
my
another thing. Yeah,
yeah
you go
my
ahead,
my
bring that up. Yeah,
local theater, and this was pointed out to me by Serial at Midnight's channel, which is another great YouTube channel. You should check it out. Subscribe. But he
please do.
yeah, he pointed out that one of his fans said that their theater was charging $5 more a ticket for this, as opposed to
Outrageous,
other movies. It made me kind of
outrageous.
yeah. It checked. I checked it out, and
Yep.
you have the IMAX theaters, you have the RPX theaters. They charge a little bit extra. But for the standard theater version of this movie, which is normally I think $9.95 for a matinee, which
Sounds right.
is crazy for me. They're charging $13.99 for this for the Deadpool Wolverine. So
You're the privileged.
yeah, for $4 more,
Yeah.
you get to see Deadpool and Wolverine. So I kind of noped out. I was like, okay, you're price gouging me for Deadpool.
Yeah.
The movie, I'm not that excited about the
I
movie
don't blame you.
just to pay that extra for it.
But
So in the future, if a week or two from now they drop the price, I'll see it. But I have seen the majority of the Marvel movies at home buying it on Blu-ray.
Right.
So,
You know,
and the price of a movie theater ticket
right.
is almost the same as buying a Blu-ray. Price of theater tickets, what like
You can go
with
for
tax and
you can go
everything is.
prime time Friday,
Mhm,
Saturday, Sunday.
mhm.
Like during the busy hours, you
Yeah, and
are
if you buy popcorn or
yeah,
whatnot, you're
or
actually
beer
paying.
or whatever.
Yeah, you're actually paying more for that movie than what you would buy spend on even a 4K
I,
version of the
I've
movie.
snuck my fair share of food and drinking
Yeah,
to a
yeah.
place. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, no, I agree with you. Yeah, fortunately, down here or up here, wherever geographically we are from each other to you out there, that's the fun part. So I did see the Tuesday more. I don't think I'm going to be able to do it tomorrow. I really wanted to, but I don't think I'm going to be able to do it. But they had like a special 6 day, whatever it is. It's like $6
Mhm.
for like a Tuesday movie, like up till I don't know, early
Mhm.
afternoon or something like that. But I'm sure I would be more jazzed to see it after that, or to kind of take in this information. But to be honest with you, it's kind of like the boys, right? So
Mhm.
I know you, me, and Jay, or just our special guest Justin. We all kind of talk about it a little bit here and there. We don't really talk about it too much,
Mhm.
but we touched upon it. And I know that you up to a certain kind of season of that, and it's just like, well, you get to a point to like where you guys take 2 years to make this thing, and when you come out with it, it's like, I'm all right. Maybe I'll catch it in another 5 years, is what that
Mhm.
means.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll see.
Well, I've heard a lot of people are disappointed with this season of The
My
Boys. Yeah, I
it
think it might be people speculate it's the influence of Seth Rogen, who's a bit of a
on the nose comedian.
activist that kind of has his yeah
He has a
has sort of yeah he's become less
no.
funny
He
as he gets more
Yeah, he definitely made his feelings thought and felt about certain topics and subjects, and that kind of people like Michael Jordan. Republicans buy shoes too, or whatever. Democrats, whatever. Um, yeah, it's a good saying and it's true. But um, yeah, the my problem with it, and I'm not. This isn't like a big long thing, but to me, this was kind of like what my point was when we started the month, right, when all these things started coming out, from June on, we rolled into summertime releases, and you had the Acolyte on the bottom, not in a good way, and on the bottom you had the boys somewhere in the middle, right, and then way up top you had House of the Dragon, like that we both love to, which we may or may not tag in on that later on. Who knows? But because I think this, yeah. I was gonna say
and
the
next week
finale is just
is
around
the
the corner. I got to
finale
catch up too. For
next
whatever
Sunday.
reason, I just get busy, and then I go. I think I know why I do. I like to I like to have at least two to like watch back to back, three even better. Or one that you can save for the next day. But no, it's very good. But yeah, the boys the thing about the boys is like you're always going to end up in the same spot where you started. And so it's like, okay, so like we've had a season 4 or whatever of the same. All right, fine. And I'm not. I mean, they were quality was fine. I wasn't offended or anything. It was just like some of it was like a little bit too close to reality. It's like I know where you're going with that. I know what you're doing, but like we're kind of well past the Rick and Morty routine has been firmly worn out. If it's a little bit too much on the nose, but anyway, yeah, no, this is cool. I would like to see what will come from this.
Yeah, get with the times, man. Rick and
Right,
Morty's
right,
yesterday's news. Now the kids are into
right. Yeah.
Smiling
No, I
Friends.
just
Check
thought
it
that
out.
was cool to bring up and talk about for a little bit. I don't really have much more than that, but yeah, like go check out our back catalog, ever growing. This will be two. I'm sure it'll be like what? Yeah, 212 by the time we release this. Um, and we
Yep.
thank you very much. And like Tom said, if you could give us a subscribe, we really appreciate it. That tells us there that you like what we're doing. Even better if you give us a like. It's all free, free. And we will always be free because this is
Yep.
just a thing that we like to do.
Yeah. Yeah, look at the last 4 videos that we did. We did a overview of the. But hey, if you like the show, check it out. Then we did a thing on the indie horror LongLegs, which is outstanding. Then we did Lady Snowblood, which is sort of a classic Japanese movie that did really well. And then I did my review of a fantasy novel, Dancer's Lament. So that just kind of gives you the variety of what we do. We're all over the place.
Absolutely, in a good way. Yeah.
Yeah. We put everything under the Nerdom umbrella. So yeah, we just cover everything. That we dig and like. And if you guys out there have something we haven't covered that you wish that we did, let us know. And in fact, if you're somewhat of an expert or just really enthusiastic about it, let us know. We are always keen on having guests on the show. So and we've reached out to people. But yeah, if you want to, what the cool kids say, collab with us, reach out to us.
Absolutely. Well, I've been ML.
And I'm Bloodsucking Tom.
We'll see you. We'll be found next week. But this week we were Lost Boys.
Yep, we'll go back to lurking in the dark.
And my name's Corey, and his name's Corey, and we're all named Corey.